TSM.
Yeah, and to remind people the original reason why Grig was taken out, they cited wrist injury issues, and so that's what led to all of this downtime. Let's get into the champion select, though. Zoe's off the table, so we won't see another Zoe Ezreal game, Freak. I'm sure that people who hate poke comps are quite happy about that because it's been a powerful strategy, and it's been one that Cloud9 was using before this week, you know, before we saw it taken to the next level with the Jace jungle and the Zillion top lane. That had been a staple for Cloud9, and for Niski specifically, the Zoe pick was very big.
I want to point out for those of you just joining us, we are still on 9.2 this week, despite 9.3 being live. It'll be week 4 where we'll see the big nerfs to Akali coming in, which probably is going to remove her from pro play. So still the Akali ban, still this Cassiopeia ban as well. Interesting to note, we have yet to see an Ezreal ban all split in North America, but it's easily Sven and Sneaky's most played champion this split. I would see it contested. I would not be surprised if C9 banned it to deny the first pick opportunity, but no, they care more about the Urgot.
All right, definitely going to still be high priority, though. Lucian also still available, so a lot here available in the first round, and that is going to be picked up quickly by Sven. We have the possibility of pairing it with Braum. You know, the combination of bottom lane duos, I think, is so important right now. The Lucian Braum, the Zyra Khan, like, those two go together almost as well as the champions that were literally designed with synergies. So that might be a very big point for champion select here.
Okay, so C9 certainly waiting around for the chance at counter picks. They're not rushing for any of their solo lanes here. They're just grabbing the Ezreal as quickly as possible. They're going to counter that up against that Lucian, the two most highly prized bottom laners here, so no surprise on this one. Svenskeren, of course, definitely a very, very flashy Lee Sin, and if he does lock that in, it'll be fun. I don't think we'll see that. And they'll keep Camille. And again, 9.2, so she does still stun jungle camps.
Yeah, so definitely still very powerful in the jungle. You can go for the early ganks, early Scuttle Crab control after your red buff. And also really like seeing other synergies with this champion. Camille, one of the best, very fast, hard engaged champions in the entire game, coming from the jungle role, really complements with some other form of more tanky engagement on your team. So things people immediately will think of Galio because it covered the whole screen. It locks into a great stun, but there are a lot of other options like the Scion that's already being moused over. Any sort of secondary engage that brings more tankiness, because Camille does have that weakness of being able to get focused down very quickly.
Sure. Other popular options include the Lissandra that's also been taken up by TSM, but you've got Ornn as top or support. You can even Tom Kench people, and we still see Tom Kench a little bit. Rakan around there in the wings as well. So wait to see what TSM wants to, I guess we'll wait for what they're going to ban away from Cloud9. As Cena got to make their own choices now. They know this list can be a flex pick. Broken Blood, of course, can play it up in that top lane. You have seen some Scion mid. Even Cloud9 themselves have played it, but instead it is that Galio. You mentioned it very first in the order. C9 versus Lissandra, most likely in that mid lane, and there is that follow-up engage.
This is definitely a classic combination here. And especially with the Ezreal as your marksman, you can add the damage from the Ezreal ultimate from very far away on the enemy map. So TSM has to be so careful about getting picked off by the Camille and Galio combination.
And I think it's important that Braum finds itself on the ban list from C9 here to get rid of Smoothie coming in there, putting up the shield, blocking Ezreal's follow-up, blocking everyone else's follow-up, and keeping that sort of targeted champion alive. I feel like that kind of needs to be seen here. Right now, getting rid of Lee Sin, one of the disengaged champions, of course. He can kick Camille out of her own ultimate and drop that entirely. And there's an Alistar, one of Zeyzal's trademark engaged champions.
Yeah, I mean, the Smoothie versus Zeyzal matchup is super fun as well. Smoothie, even though it's not the most recent team, most people know him for his time on Cloud9, right? That's where he got most of his accolades. He won first team all LCS support, and he definitely was a huge part of the rise of Cloud9, or kind of the second coming. So definitely going to be interesting how he goes up against Zeyzal, who's the guy who originally kind of took his spot.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they do have that heated support battle that's going on in ban phase right now.
Yeah, getting rid of a lot of them right here. I've even seen Lee Sin support. I can add that into the list. I think we saw it in LCK before, but one final ban for TSM. Then Cloud9 gets first dibs on champions, and Cena themselves need a top laner and a support. Yorick going away, expecting that to be a counter pick to that Scion in the top lane. One that has been successful before, I would say most popularized by Optics Dokla, but also brought out by 100 Thieves someday last week. And C9, my vote would still be taking Braum right here so that Smoothie can't grab it. And Zeyzal's, of course, is most played. This will be his 4th Braum game in 5 overall across the LCS. and that's why they don't ban it. They want to play it themselves, and there it is.
Yep, no surprise here. We said it as soon as we saw the Lucian locked in, and eventually it does trickle down to the third pick here. Ooh. Everybody wants it.
That's more like fun. But yeah, it would be cool. Waiting to see. I love all the different hovers. Really going through the supports here.
Wow, people are really,
what else?
Really getting into the last round picks here of the support counters.
Yeah.
We can go over the Redemption Olaf because it was used by the best jungler in the world, Tarzan, and LCK, the jungler for Griffin. He was the one who kind of innovated it. And then if Tarzan does anything, then people copy it, right?
Yes.
Across the world. That's what comes from being, the jungler for Griffin. But I actually still prefer going with something like Cinder Hulk, speeds up your clear, and you can transition into Redemption. Not necessarily needing to rush for it so fast, unless you're actually going to go for those early, 2v2s and 3v2s.
Right,
Because it will make a big difference in those, but then
Whoa!
you have to play accordingly.
I don't care about Olaf anymore.
Sylas!
We've got Sylas in the game. Licorice is playing Sylas versus Sion. See, Kobe, you talked about needing hard engaged tank ultimate, but TSM took Lissandra and they took Sion. Well, too bad. Licorice has it anyway.
Licorice with the Galaxy brain here. He's like, yes, we have the Galio, and we have the Sion and the Lissandra. Thank you very much. Now, for me, and we should go over a lot of Sylas stuff, even though it was played over in Europe, all of them lost.
Kobe.
Right, all of them did end up losing. They didn't really play around this champion. For me, a lot of it, the power, as we were saying in Countdown, comes from a counter pick situation like this, where you can already see all the enemy ultimates that you're going to be stealing. They also have a very offensively oriented jungler here, Camille, super potent at going for those early kills, even onto a tank champion like Sion. People sometimes are dissuaded by going after tank lanes and going to gank them, but you can for sure get an early kill on that lane. And I want to see the focus from the junglers in this top lane, so that it revolves around Sylas.
All right, let's hear it, everybody. TSM and Cloud9, one of the oldest and best rivalries in North American League of Legends. A lot of these players formerly of the other team. We get ourselves into the game. Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Klepto! It's Klepto Sylas, freak! We get another variation of the rune choices here. I've been discussing this a lot with Dash because he's been playing a lot as well. But we'll talk about Sylas as soon as we get some info from Avali.
Thanks, guys. Sylas, the first pick that we see coming from Licorice and Cloud9. Reaper, what's the inspiration behind the pick and why is it going to work today?
TSM have lots of good ultimation in there, like Jillian is there, Lucian, and Lissandra, Sion also. So it's pretty good for picking Sylas, not gonna lie.
So you just want to steal all their ults and then steal the game. Anything that you think you need to look out for from TSM today?
Sion is kinda scary, but yeah, we'll see. We can handle it this time around or not.
Well, Reaper, thank you and best of luck to you. Back to you guys.
And I really do hope that this Sylas ends up having at least a significant amount of AP. Maybe you don't have to go full AP, as we're seeing a jungle invade here already. Since they do have Braum, that's going to be a lot of early power.
Well, a little bit of damage right there, and Sven gets to stack some of that mana. And we get a potential red buff steal as Olaf is soloing the blue buff, so outside of a pretty crazy opening, this should go pretty cleanly to Sven. In fact, Smoothie can't even steal it that easily with a smite. So there we go. Picks up that red buff steal, and we'll see if the vertical jungling is going to work for Arcadian. If he takes the Gromp, he can try to go for that top side red.
It is interesting, right? Because when you're going for this invade, you would think that they're going to try and isolate it, but already you can see Sven Skaren on the Camille is going cross-map. Bottom lane trading is going on, and there is a lot of damage, but look, the Camille is actually going to get top scuttle now to protect that Sylas lane, even after going for the red invade here. So they've essentially set up the possibility for a 3 buff on Acadian by traversing here. So Svenskeren gets this Scuttle Crab, goes back down, can get bottom and protect his blue side. It would mean Acadian is boxed in.
So some of that info is known. Keep in mind that Scuttle was warded coming in, so they were aware Sven cut across. They saw him in the lane. They saw him go back towards the Raptors. So I want to see what the 4th camp, 5th camp is going to be for Acadian as he cleared the entire left side, and he is going for a defensive clear. He's going down to his own Krugs. They're well aware the red was taken, so this is either an aggressive invade, but of course, he walked by a ward.
Well, the big thing is the bottom lane pushing here for TSM allows support for the jungle, right? So they can move in, protect Acadian, allow him to continue maybe a contest here inside the jungle. Let's take a look. Mid lane, though, is actually going in the favor of Cloud9, so Niski gets to come down first, and Acadian might have to just call it quits after the Scuttle take.
Yeah, so no steal on the Scuttle. It's Acadian trading 1-for-1 on that one. Sven's going to try to reveal him, and Galio goes back to lane. And if he's not going to get touched up right here, this is going to be pretty clean. But no, Acadian
wants it.
Has popped forward. And keep in mind, he's got that 2-camp lead right there. He's taken more camps because of power clearing. Svenskeren spent a lot of time walking.
Watch the patience on the blue buff, though. If it switches targets one more time, it would reset. They defend it well, though. Cloud9 are able to secure that one for Svenskeren.
That's pretty big. That's really big. There's only 1 camp left up for Acadian. He is going to be down that 3rd buff. It's going to be a 1-buff Olaf. The full clear is in. And, you know, in a little bit, the camps will respawn, so he might not be down XP forever, but is down that buff.
Yeah, the exact respawn timer on small jungle camps is 2.5 minutes. So if you count the 5 waves for your laners, or you're keeping track in some way like that, you can get there in position for the next respawn. And they did take a little bit of a while delaying at the blue buff, but it will be kind of a top-down clear for him. Meanwhile, Licorice on the Sylas up here versus Broken Blade. The early stages not too exciting.
Sure.
As they're just trading, but you can see the builds coming out already.
And I do think that it's pretty solid. Licorice has a CS lead so far, and with how much they've been tracking Olaf by him trying to go for an invade, getting stopped by Galio, he's able to freely play this lane aggressively and not worry about ganks until now as Acadian gets the first reset off.
And one of the biggest things for Sylas, he really does enjoy melee matchups because of the power of the W, right? You can get huge healing off of it, especially below 40%, and that is what Licorice is maxing right now. He's going for the Klepto for the extra gains off of attacking the champions. Right now, though, Acadian gets 1 small.
Ooh, no slow.
Single small chicken.
All right, that's a little bit of something. It's only kind of a drumstick here as they're going to still wait around level 4 on both these people.
Nice tree damage.
Forward, yeah, big chunk out. And overall farm lead is still with Acadian in this one. As a couple more of those Raptors go down, and we'll go back towards Svenskeren. And so fairly equal trades. Right now it's Cloud9 about 300 gold ahead overall as a team, with some pretty solid farm in that top lane with Klepto helping quite a bit as well. Bot lane, it's Sneaky licking his wounds. We can see the overall gold right now. Klepto's made up for that CS difference. The bot lane, not quite the stun, but still Ezreal going to be hurt. Does not take that second bomb as he clears one last minion.
With double Kleptos on the team as well, you know, Ezreal and Sylas, there is going to be a little bit of gold inflation for Cloud9 because of their rune choices. So we're going to see a decent amount of the discrepancy there. There's teleport on Sneaky, so he's just going to use that to get right back to lane. One of the biggest bonuses of Ezreal, and he has gone for the Sheen purchase rather than, you know, waiting, trying to get the...
Okay, ooh, that is a flash that was forced. Nice by Svenskeren to get the summoner out. And out goes Acadian.
Olaf is definitely vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have flash early on, he's not level 6. That is a very dangerous thing, as we've seen so much little attempts at contesting these jungle camps.
And Licorice still feeling good trading. Both top laners have burned their teleports as well. We've got the Spectre's Cowl here for Broken Blade, and the beginnings of some ability power. We've seen Bjergsen, for example, is a big proponent of Proto Belt Rush on Sylas top lane. This means you're going to be delaying heavier CDR like Luden's Echo and delaying items like Lichbane, but ooh, tried with the E there, couldn't quite get it.
Sion ult is one of the coolest ultimates to steal for Sylas, though, even if you do have a little bit of AP, because it does have such good ratios. And I've seen a lot of people steal it and then go bottom lane to try and use there. But he can also be used even in lane if we do have junglers coming up.
And now he's stolen the ultimate. Licorice has this one. He's ready to look at something. Does he want to burn it right away is the question, but Lissandra's under turret, so not just yet here. And they're just trading blows. 10 CS lead. This Scion pretty immovable, but his mana pool is getting taxed, honestly, with how much Licorice is fighting him. He's managed to tax that Scion mana pool down to about 15%. Wave pushed in. Bjergsen infinite mana with his own blue buff, and this is going to look pretty solid here.
It is very big for Silas for you to bring execute damage when you try and kill him as well, though. Because if a good Silas is going to hold the W until they're below 40%, get this huge burst of healing and try and bait people in. Meanwhile, you mentioned the rushing into the Proto Belt. Getting that X-Tech Revolver early on is 40 AP right there, so that is going to go a long ways towards extra damage on the sign. Ultimately, here's another invade, though.
Okay, Smoothie of the wall, gonna find a stun in it too. This could be follow-up. Does Liss want it? No, just zoning him out. And that should be a pretty easy pickup. Akaadian grabs it despite the Q from Zayza, but now
level
Sneaky
6
has to jump the wall. It took damage now. The trade in. They're gonna knock down Olaf for first blood. The fight might get in, but Bjergsen gets out.
Yep, not level 6. Still doesn't have his ultimate, and as we said earlier, the flash was burned. So Cloud9 continuing to press on this pressure point for TSM. They attack Akaadian over and over again. This invade does work out. He has no resources left, and C9 do find first blood.
And these teams are fighting for partial control of second place. Keep in mind with FlyQuest dropping a game earlier today. Choo-choo! Silas gets some farm himself. But again, with FlyQuest dropping a 3-2, a win here puts you tied for second. Cloud9, of course, was arguably the second best North American team across the year last time around, and the best internationally. Wanted to get back there. TSM hoping to return to form, and beating a team like this would be a good look for either side. Certainly, two of the teams people are looking at to be very strong throughout the rest of this year. As Akaadian gets himself to level 6, and Svenskeren close to that as well.
Looks like Bjergsen might get another plate there as we go into the replay of this jungle invade. TSM did put down this control ward, and C9 seemingly back off. They killed the control ward, though, and just loop around. They have put 2 of their own here.
That's slow.
So
That's why.
nobody from TSM. Yeah, you thought he was trying to Q to steal the red, which maybe he was. But he gets the secondary bonus. Haha! I didn't miss. I got the Q under the bra, under the Olaf, and then they get the red buff anyway.
Exactly. He just goes onto a better character in Niski, so that's going to feel pretty solid. And we are back now to this sort of state. Now, of course, First Blood's always good, but show us how you're watching those First Bloods. Tweet us, #HowILCS, and tag @LOL Esports and Instagram, so we can share your setups on our Instagram stories as well. Always fun to let us know how it's going. I prefer pet picks, but honestly, anything works.
Pets definitely give you some bonus points.
Yep.
Do cats and dogs give you equal bonus points for you, Freak?
No, I'm much more to dogs. I accept cat picks.
Okay.
That's fine. They're cute. I just don't want one.
Fair enough. All right, we do have a Cloud Drake as well spawned, and I think that... Never mind.
Ow. This guy's got the shield. They're fine.
The priority for a decent amount of the pro players I've been talking to has risen for them on Cloud Drake. So finally,
Yeah! They're learning!
Feel much better because the move speed is actually insane right now. For the first Cloud Drake, you get 3% even in combat. And then, of course, you get the triple once you're out of combat. Here's another jungle invade, though. TSM are fighting back.
Okay. Fighting back and forth. This is going to be Svenskeren waiting in the wings. Level 7 for him. Better smite than Akaadian. And here's these Ezreal tick, and it's too early of a smite for Svenskeren, so
yeah,
that's good for Akaadian.
Akaadian did get it. There was a delay in there in between the Reckless Swing, though, so it was sitting at smiteable health for a while, just the range not there for Svenskeren. Plus, I think it might have been on cooldown, actually.
No, he popped it. He popped it really early. I think he expected more damage out of Ezreal ult. Keep in mind, Ezreal ult does full damage to epic monsters like Dragon and Baron. That does not count red and blue buff, so he may have chosen that as a mistake. I'm not quite sure, but either way, it was a very early fight for Sven, and it wasn't close to dying.
Yeah, that's a difficult combo to pull off anyway.
I guess.
That's why I was like, okay, you're trying to combo with the Ezreal. I guess he's the one that knows that it's coming, so it's a bit easier. But in the end, Akaadian gets a little something back for himself.
Licorice is back on the train and pops it. Cowards! And he's going to recall. He's got PP, it's fine.
Yeah, it's about to come back up in another second here. Meanwhile, Svenskeren and Akaadian once again fighting over the Scuttle Crab. This time around, goes back the other way. So very close between these two junglers fighting each way. And it really has been about team support going for the invades. A little bit more coordination from Cloud9 with the one on the red buff. Got them that first blood and a small advantage.
Overall, though, looking at this scoreboard here, 400 gold apart, good damage into Zazel, but here comes a stun of flash for Sven, but now he's going to be caught out. Look for the revive coming in soon, and they're going to wait this out. It looks like, no, they will burn him down, and a stopwatch for Svenskeren. Health bar is low, and he's not quite going to drop no revive either. Arcadian is in, though, and that's one for TSM. Now again, out goes Cyan, will not be taunted back in. TSM, though, 1-0.
Yeah, nice save there. Broken Blade saves his ultimate until the taunt from Galio's about to come in. He goes unstoppable. Arcadian still had his channeling. He's unstoppable. So they sneak away with a drive-by kill on the enemy jungler. Just throw down the reckless swing and get back under turret. Meanwhile, Bjergsen never even joined the fight, and he got 4 plates now off of this mid turret. He's mining gold.
He is, and look at this fight one more time. The ult looks nice, but they kind of choose between burning down Sven and letting him come up. You can see they do let him revive. No, I think he just got to 1 HP and they let it kind of wait out, but either way, just that ult and then that ult right there, both of them getting away from Galio.
Yeah, Sven saving the heal there, able to use it for the move speed and the little juice at the end, does walk out. Such close plays between these two teams. I love it. It's always exciting when we have TSM versus Cloud9, and this one also not disappointing. Big CS lead in the bottom lane, by the way, here, going the favor of Sven.
Right now, the overall game still only 300 gold apart. It is neck and neck, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Now another attempted fight here as Licorice keeps trading and putting in the blows, but the farm's going to be pretty close to equal.
Oh, so we were so focused on Sylas and on all the jungle fights that were going on that we actually never touched on one of the newer technologies that has evolved in the bottom lane, which was the 3-point W Lucian with the Doran's Ring start. Now that, we did see it quite a few times in Korea starting out, and it's a little bit stronger of a lane phase going for poke, especially when you're against something like Ezreal here. You're able to get a very big chunk landing that. It's a huge AoE, and a lot of people have trended towards putting, you know, the amount of points varies depending on how your lane is going, but around 2 or 3 early on, and then switching back over to the more normal Lucian that you do expect. It's just a little bit more early.
Definitely lets you push as a little more damage comes through onto Sven. And it is the small laning lead here, plus 20 for the TSM bot lane, and definitely something that Sven was used to. I know we keep seeing the memes of NA Mithy versus EU Mithy. He's doing pretty well over on Origin in the LEC. We can see, overall laning phase, 5 plays to 0. Sven's up 20 CS, doing well alongside Smoothie. And overall, this is TSM now, first Drake of the game, feeling pretty good. And now a fight in the mid lane as well. The stuns, they're just going to keep layering. Do they have the damage up? But surely this will be enough time. The stopwatch not going to matter. Broken Blade grabs a second kill at TSM's game.
Really good rotation here from Broken Lane coming down, as well as the rest of TSM using the control wards. Look at the river right now, Freak. There are all TSM control wards throughout both sides of the river, controlling all vision across the map. The river is the highway of Summoner's Rift, and TSM are not letting Cloud9 on.
Yeah, so far it's not been a traffic jam at all. They're running back and forth and finding those plays. And a 900 gold lead puts them sizably ahead. Now a TP to the bot lane, but you've got Svenskeren shadowing. And it's not going to be contested anyway. Sneaky's back in trying to get that farm, but he's got a ways to go until he's super useful here. Arcadian's still getting some time on this highway. Again, unobstructed, and that's going to be more picked up for him, as that's going to be Rift Herald, and at some point you have to assume a second outer turret.
All right, yeah, it should be fairly easy to take. Doesn't do too much damage either, and with the mid turret taken basically by Bjergsen, while there was so much attention around the rest of the map, this really opens up the availability for TSM to go much more offensively. They've already laid the baseline of the vision throughout the river. Now with mid turret down, they can group up. If you have a recall with Smoothie, the extra speed boost will allow for deep vision.
Now, I agree. We're hearing members from the crowd. Caden never picked up the Eye of the Herald.
Wait, is it sitting
chilling?
there?
It's chilling on a control ward. Thank you, spectators.
I see it.
Yep. He chose not to pick it up. You've got a minute. You've got a minute. You've got about 40 seconds, 45 seconds left. It'll time out around 17 into the game. But TSM just got 100 gold and that's it.
Well, they also lost their red buff, because during that time, Cloud9 went for the invade again. They take away Acadian's red buff. He's all out of sorts. Left the eyeball over in the pit.
Oof.
Red buff's gone. It's gonna time out.
Oh, unlucky. Well, that is one small advantage TSM might miss out on in this game, as Liquor continues to fight up against Broken Blade, and they are still fairly equal in their battles here. plenty of CDR merchants coming in. He's trying to just keep his farm going. Wait to see him in the mid game.
What's crazy is that's not even the first time I've seen that in professional play.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And that, I feel like that rarely happens in, you know, just normal solo queue games. Regardless, though,
Unlucky.
that is a huge swing because there was a very big time investment. Now bottom side.
Okay, they're gonna find a Kaden, keep on hands. He ulti pops that one and gets away from all the slow. Still caged in though, and Galio is arriving, and they find the knockup. It's gonna be only the resurrection though, because Smoothie was around, and that entire investment got nothing.
Smoothie able to get up there in time, and the Zillion ultimate comes through, supporting Acadian, saving him, and trading quite a few cooldowns.
Oh, he's forward on this one. Keep in mind, there's no res this time around. Up they go. That Q's gonna land. Do they have the damage deal coming across? It's not quite gonna nick Smoothie, and he will not kill his old lane mate. Out they go. No casualties here again.
Bottom lane now. Looks like they've changed direction. Everybody heading down towards Sven. Except for, of course, the Scion. Choo-choo up top side. Are they actually going to pull it? No, not going to even find him there. Ward does expire.
All right. Well, again, just the wave clear then and keeping your turrets alive. The spot lane outer, though, at half. And again, if there was a Herald, that would be pretty much a turret killed, but won't be there yet. Licorice still only able to steal Scion's ultimate. Hasn't really moved out of his lane at all.
Maybe it's a next level BM. We're going to kill the Rift Herald and put it in the dirt. We don't even need the eyeball. Leave it there. I mean, that can definitely backfire if they don't win the game. But Acadian has also gone one of the Korean innovations that we talked about, the redemption on Olaf. He rushed it before even going Cinderhulk, so that is going to allow them to have a little bit more power in all these jungle invades. Maybe the burst heal slash damage does come in very handy. Haven't seen him get a lot of value out of it yet.
Yeah. Still tracking the Sven skill order. 3 points W, 4 points Q, now putting points back into his dash into the E. So he's kind of mixing around a lot here and not finishing out that Q build just yet, getting his cooldowns for his dash lower. Level 11, got a lot more to grow. But this game is still very close, 400 gold apart, and the sort of lane bullying options that TSM put on, right? Range support in the bottom lane, Lucian with 3 points W, Olaf, king of early jungle. TSM's not really that far ahead. They've got a bit of gold and a Cloud Drake. I would almost expect a little bit more early game pressure.
Yeah, I mean, hear me out.
Okay.
Even though Zillion is ranged, I don't really consider him a lane bully. It seems like it is pretty easy to threaten him early on for a lot of the possible all-ins, as well as, you know, jungle presence. Lucian definitely, but maybe Zillion not the most threatening, you know, component to add to that.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of leeway there, but so much of it has been about who can get their bottom lane to roam first for these junglers.
And at this point now, it's top lane is roaming as well. The teleports are up for both sides, but Licorice is running down the river right here. So as they fight over this Infernal Drake, it might be a TP forced out of Broken Blade. First to clear mid lane is going to be this Galio here for Cloud9, so they have mid prio as well.
Acadian's keeping vision on the dragon while Bjergsen gets the turret. Aftershock Lissandra,
of course,
pretty much always takes.
I'm just saying he has it in the turrets. Not that I'm shocked he has it, but that this is the payoff. This is why they had 5 turret plates. That's why bot lane outer is dead. It's this demolished Lissandra getting alone time side lane, and C9 got mid prio and got nothing. Lissandra killed a side turret.
All right. Meanwhile, mid lane here, C9 grouped up in the side brush.
Okay, here's the engage, looking at someone. They're going to finally trap the Scion, but he's not an easy target. Spence Karen incredibly low, and this Camille has to kite back. He could still go down, and they find that first kill. TSM now on the chase, not quite as slow, but Lissandra coming in. Will he go for the flash ult? No, he does not choose to pull the trigger. Still the 1-for-0 TSM ahead. A bit of poke means nothing.
Yeah, that seemed like a very confused play from Cloud9 there. If you're saying, haha, I caught the Scion in front of all your team, that's exactly who TSM would want to be caught out there, and they're very happy to grab that kill, turn it around into an Infernal Drake, and try and really boost this early game. That is added on to the speed of the early Cloud Drake.
And they are getting better and better here. TSM having a really solid mid game. Let's watch this fight again.
All right, so again, C9 do have 5v3 showing in the mid lane right now. However, the Scion ultimate from Broken Blade right after Sven goes in on him, knocks up 3, he gets a huge knock back there. He's a pure tank, so they don't take any damage, and it buys plenty of time for Bjergsen to get in there with the teleport. Full roam up from the bottom lane, and once everybody joins the party there and you've used your cooldowns attempting to try and take down the largest health mammoth in the game, it is not going to turn out well.
All right, well, a quick check-in on Licorice. It's protocol into Luden's Echo. So we did buy the early wave here, but now going for the standard high CDR stuff here. And we'll see what he comes into next. He is so far yet to find his way onto backliners, though. He's only been sort of a tank in the front side, but it's a full AP build, so he can't really tank yet either. We'll wait to see what the mid-game looks like, though. There is some room in this game.
While we have some time to while they're walking around, we can go over the synergy why Olaf built the Redemption. Of course, with your W, you do get increased healing from all sources the lower health you are. So that's one of the reasons why the Redemption Olaf really surprised a lot of people. When that thing does land on Olaf himself, it does have a huge boost to it. The other guy on the field with big healing is, of course, the Sylas that you mentioned, since he is building AP, which I'm happy to see. You can also have, when he's below 40%, huge burst healing. And we might see, next time he does steal the Scion ultimate, it's going to do a lot of damage.
Ooh, a lot of chunks down for Ziggy staying alive. Zeyzal puts the shield up and keeps up there as well. Sven going to dash in and force the flash out of Sneaky. Nice priority down there from that mid lane. The duo's looking a lot better on TSM side.
Yeah, Sven really flexing his muscles right here, gaining control of the mid lane. This does have consequences for the top side, where TSM are currently pushing with that demolished Lissandra backed up by Acadian.
They just keep using Bjergsen as the wedge to push in these side lanes, getting the damage on the turret. He's already chunked it down once, and it's going to be 3-0 in outer turrets, 2-0 in Drakes, 3-1 in kills. TSM looking to be 3-2 in the season.
And technically 1-0 in Rift Heralds, although it was crushed into the ground because they don't need it.
Also true. All the objectives going their way. It's seen them with a single kill away from a perfect game, away from a shutout. Not that that's the way the game is going necessarily, but it's certainly a pretty solid start with a 2,000 gold lead.
All right, this is the fun point of the game, where we get to start theory crafting for the team that is behind. I love playing this game for Cloud9. They have so many options, actually, for hard engage, picking someone from TSM off. The problem, even though they have Camille, Galio, and a Sylas that can steal Scion Ultimate, they are facing some very difficult people to engage on. Zilean Ultimate is going to revive anyone if he's close around, and you have not also put adequate threat onto the Zilean to force him off. Lissandra can self-ult. Scion is extremely tanky here and has a Warmog, so he can heal back up afterwards if you don't take him completely down. So while there are a lot of powerful offensive tools on Cloud9, TSM are stacked in defense.
They really are, so it's going to be tough for Sienna to get in, but they can still try. Licorice just can't deal meaningful damage to Broken Blade. He pops his entire combo, doesn't break the shield. Now it's a dive on the top side. Selfless going to be on list. There's the revive. Redemption on top as well. Oh, what a taunt! They got Smoothie, and now Sven's forced to run, and a very low health Olaf as well. One more Q might kill a double kill for Cloud9.
There you go, Cloud9, they find it, and they just chase him down again after the revive. They take down the Zilean, Lucian goes down again, and they're pushing on turrets.
And they're going to look for a little bit more. 2 more cast minutes, and the Baron alive as well. Acadian at 12 HP, but they're kind of trending a bit slowly. Not looking at Baron just yet, just stealing a camp or 2 and kind of resetting here, maybe getting a few wards.
Yeah, a lot of pings going down here because they know vision clearing time is essential. You don't get many openings, when the game does swing like that. Actually, they aren't able to get much of it off the table, trying to go for the reset here. Let's take another look at the engage, though. They know that this is the lane to go for. Svenskeren with a good flash, as you say, is able to get the stun, is able to get the ultimate down, and then even though Sven uses both summoners in escaping after he gets back up, they still find the chase there. That's huge for Cloud9. Double summoners burned, as well as still getting the kill and the turret.
And so Sylas going towards Lichbane next. We keep the track on this one. He's still only fighting the Scion, so he's not assassinating, but he's still going for the AP. Certainly Lichbane a great item on him. You have the double cast E, easy auto attack. Zeyzal, he's back in that brush, and now looking at a slow towards Acadian as TSM wants to go forward, but they're not going to pull the trigger just yet. Just a bit of poke from Sneaky.
It's an Inferno, so we're going to see some fireworks pretty soon here, Freak. Oh, TSM are trying to push the mid lane first.
They find that stun. Big damage towards Zeyzal. Half HP. They might go for this one. Yes, they will. Almost pull him down. The health bar's low. Zeyzal just barely getting out, but a self-ult for Lace is going to pop down the Guardian Angel. This will be very good for TSM. Waiting for the revive. Double stun's going to be found with the bombs. Just out will go the Camille. Svenskeren stays alive. Not a lot of AP there, but the big chunks tease him with the health bar lead.
Oh, Zeyzal and Svenskeren low, but then they go.
Big damage, but Sylas gets himself killed, rooted and stunned in place, and now TSM can easily chase. 5 versus 4. Look at the next play is Broken Blade. No ult, but he's got the flash, and he's got the Q still up. Gonna find that stun. The health bar is so high, it does not matter what they do to him.
Licorice with a misplay there gets locked up. TSM now with the extra person advantage are pushing mid lane with the demolished Lissandra, taking a chunk out of that turret at the same time they're starting up the Infernal Drake here, and they should be able to get both.
Ultimate's down for almost everyone but the Gallia, but it doesn't seem to matter here. TSM are giving control of the map. Second Infernal Drake picked up as well, and to add on to the kill, a second Drake.
Yep, Bjergsen almost took down that second turret in mid lane, got the demolish off, so there's a huge chunk, as well as adding another Infernal Drake to stack here. Let's take another look, Freak, because as you were talking about, Cloud9 sustained huge damage here early on to the health bars, even though they have a Guardian Angel to revive Svenskeren. Zeyzal's been chunked out very heavily. Then on the backside, Svenskeren's still extremely low, yet Licorice steps up here on the Sylas, trying to chase 1v5 basically, gets stunned up. Really nice block down there from Smoothie as well, setting up in combination with Bjergsen. TSM were able to find the kill. And now, after the reset, they've got pretty much full vision control over the Baron.
Looking for a Baron rush, yeah, maybe so, as the wards come up and down and they're turned off, and now here comes the attack. Sylas coming up the river with the Ezreal still clearing in mid, so C9 a bit late to the party, and right now it's in darkness. Those wards have been turned off, and Bjergsen's showing. And when another ward comes down for Zayla, this time they can see it. They have to actually kill the control ward to drop the vision. That's not going to happen. Ezreal coming across, it'll tag onto only one, and only barely breaks the shield. Not a lot of damage here. Still waiting on the wings is Niski. Redemption resets the fight. Positive for TSM. Here's the engage. Only a stun. Onto Sai on the top for Niski. Will not even find Sven. Broken Blade at half HP. Can they burn him down? The resurrection on a 1 already. Here comes the redive. They've not killed Acadian. TSM buying some time. But Bjergsen's low. Southvolt buys even more. Niski still feels safe. Finally, Redemption onto 1. Coming back up. Still 5 on 5. Looking for the next play. Sneaky coming down. He's still all right in this one. Waiting for the next play. Is that it was a stolen Zillion ult, of course, by the Sylas, which got him back up in the fight. But Sion in the fog of war. No, he's spotted out. Will they dive in? They're on the wrong side. TSM do not have an escape route. But watch out for Sven in the wing. Watch out for Smoothie next to him. Look for the damage of the Galio. Waiting for the engage. Who's gonna get out? Who's gonna get in? They get another steal. They've got, I think it's Lissandra ult. Can he get in to find someone? Can he get the CC? Looking for someone. They've got the first pick. But Anthonius buys some time. Niski in the backline finds one. C9 get a second. This could be their fight. But in the front line again, it's Sion. Broken Blade getting slowly worn down. But C9 5v3. They're going for the turret instead. That one can't run away. And they will finally get away with a 2-for-0.
And it's not even over yet. They're going onto the Baron. They clear out the wards. They start it up here. Zeyzal's going for the Scrying Bloom. He does see the rest of TSM, and the teleport comes in. Freak, they're going to go for the burn.
And they're going for broke. No flash on a kid. He has to walk in on the Olaf. Has the ult, though.
Teleport from Sneaky is available. He's using it on the control ward right by Baron. They're very low. Broken Blade trying to get an opening.
He's buying a lot of time as Baron's hitting Svensker to the back line. He's very, very low. The ult is going to force him back in. That will be a third kill now for C9, but Baron resets, and he might have about the time they need. C9, I think, have to go heal now.
Oh my goodness, what an insane fight up through this river. Back around again into the Baron pit. Broken Blade buys time for TSM. He does stop the Cloud9 Baron attempt. But let's start at the beginning. Before any ultimates have been used, Licorice steals the Zillion ult. Initially, first Zillion ult used by Smoothie on himself for TSM. So he revived. Both people got out so low. Niski there requires the second one. That is cast by Sylas from Licorice here to get another revive. So nobody has actually died yet. Then they have the whole ring around the Rosie. Licorice steals another ultimate. This one is Lissandra. Lissandra then self-ults herself. So we have Lissandra on Lissandra. Bjergsen goes down in the end, though. And Broken Blade, even though he teleports back in, there's no DPS left. So they still end up losing the turret. Whew.
And it brings us now to a gold lead for Cloud9. 10,000 damage out of Sneaky. Laning phase was rough, but Sneaky and team fights the other half of that meme. There's a reason he's probably the best international performer out of North America. Now looked at a bit more as Broken Blade is still tanking the front line. We've got culling for Licorice here. Which top lane Lucian's better? Licorice might be the best out of NA this time around. Looking for that play. We'll have some AP conversion on that ultimate. Will be plenty of damage.
Yeah. If he uses that onto anybody but Sion, it's going to be a huge chunk. And the poke is so important. You saw Sneaky's numbers there. That's because the fight was so extended and everyone kept maneuvering.
Looking here. Zazel rooted, he's been found out here, he's surrounded. Is there a way out for him? The cooling comes in, and just barely Zazel able to kite away. Sven Skarin, he finds Sven, and the fight continues. The health bars are low, but it's a revive. Again, Salas pulls back Zillion. They're coming back up. Redemption buys a few seconds, but what a flash! Sven Skarin finds the mid laner. It's 3-0, and Broken Blade's got a broken team. He's shattered as well. 5v1, they're looking for Baron.
Oh, there's gonna be no stopping this Baron freak. Cloud9 take out 4 members this time around, and they're gonna get the buff.
What a fight! 2 more clutch ults out of Licorice. It was a slow laning phase, but an explosive team fight. Baron means a 6,000 gold lead.
Look at this. All right, Licorice starts it out with the Lucian ultimate. No look bullets coming out of the back of his head. He slyly jumps in here onto Sven. They kill him off. During that time, he steals the other ultimate, and they get 2 Zillion ultimates down on both people that go down. So both of them are able to revive, and it's a re-engage from Cloud9. Big props to Sven Skarin in the flashover on the Camille, as well as Niski there with the Galio for the huge AoE that's able to clean it up for Cloud9 and turn this one back.
Really crisp team fight execution from Cloud9. They did have a weaker laning phase. They lost the 2 Infernal Drakes as well and still fought it back.
Freak, this is what people wanted to see when they were looking for pro Sylas play.
Yeah.
Multiple ultimate steals in the same team fight and well-used timing on those ultimates. So talking about all the variables, you know, during Countdown that go into selecting this champion, I think that Licorice has done such a good job. Well, mainly with the Zillion one.
Yeah, that one's easy.
Get that one in
Niski, get him back up.
Here we go, though,
Yeah.
with the Baron buff. The siege continues. This turret's going down, and C9 are still coming for an inhibitor turret.
Bjergsen's down to 1k. He's got to walk all the way back, heal up in the fountain, and go again. There's a single cannon minion here in mid, and the bot lane wave is crashing right now, so a little bit of pressure in mid. That's going to be an easy clear up for Sven, but down in the bottom lane, they can walk up and get a bit of damage here if they can come down in time, but Bjergsen's healed back up. This could be the team fight right away. He flashes in, self-ult, and Svensker's in the front line. He's got to kite back now, but Galio plummets in, buys a bit more space. Look at the explosion in the front line. The quick revive on a 1. Niski is low. This time he is not pulled back up. Looking at a 4v5. Svensker gets the kill. He might lose Guardian Angel. So now it's a 4 versus 4. We're waiting for the second round of the fight. Sion comes forward. Svensker will go down. TSM leading that fight by a kill as they limp away. Low health bars looking at more.
Licorice can steal another ultimate right now. It's come back off of cooldown. What's he going to get? Cloud9 poking down, taking the inhibitor here, and they will be able to finish.
They had enough damage in the 3 versus 4 to knock down the inhibitor. And the first one of the game is going to drop. This gold lead still 4,000 in the Baron power play. C9 have a lot.
It looked like a very good defense from TSM at the beginning of that engagement. And they were actually able to get the kill super early on. Bjergsen goes in, he buys a lot of time with the Lissandra. They got a good Zillion ult revive off, but Cloud9 in the end, even after losing 2 members, still got what they came for. So here's Bjergsen once again. Really nice separation there. And then Sven Skarin, the Camille ult on Broken Blade again, doesn't get anything. TSM back up, avoid the Niski Galio that comes through, and then get the kill. But re-engage and a Guardian Angel on Sven Skarin means that they were able to get not only another kill, but a huge amount of pressure in just chunking TSM back. And with all those cooldowns used, they're able to push with Baron buff regardless of being 3v4.
One thing I love is how far back Smoothie played that team fight. Silence ult is point and click, but it's got a range.
Yeah.
And if you are 1,000 range out, you're not getting that revive again. And Smoothie's like, all right, I'm going to put my stuff in and then hide back out of the way so you can't revive your front line anymore. And it's like the dumbest thing to be proud of, but Smoothie just walking far back is a team fight saving play.
Definitely a very good point. You have to avoid Sylas stealing the key ults. It's been game-changing in the 2 team fights before. Now Cloud9 have a very big lead that they're still working with coming back in this game. I mean, if people remember back to the beginning of this game, TSM had a huge advantage. All these dragons stacked up. They were doing such a good job of snowballing. Now it's Cloud9 knocking at their door.
All right, looking at the wave clear out of Bjergsen, doing a pretty good job. Most of the minions are gone before they can get over to it. A cannon is left. They can get a bit of damage here with Sneaky and Co. Will they defend the tier 2? But yeah, with the cannon having 5 HP, there's going to be no damage put in. So good wave clear out of the Lissandra. Back to the mid lane. We see that cleared away, but C9 mostly just buying time for a minute and a half till those objectives come up. With a 10,000 gold lead, you expect C9 to win the team fight in open ground.
All right, they do have some defensive wards up here for TSM. Keep track of C9. Licorice
Steals culling.
yeah, he steals culling, gets a little bit of culling damage in the back, but Zazel's there with the Unbreakable.
Death cap in. Licorice going for a lot of raw AP now, and that is very scary. That's going to be a pretty big deal.
All right, you're talking about the range on the steal in, how you have
3,800 damage to culling. That's the full channel.
Culling will do a lot of damage. Scion Ultimate would also be a great steal.
Yeah.
That thing's got a nice AD ratio on it that gets converted to AP for Silas, and you can have a huge AoE.
Culling used to do that without 800 ability power.
Yeah. I mean, I like on Silas, too, how it just kind of comes out of his back while he's walking away. The mind bullets being fired away.
Heck yeah.
Cloud9, though, they've set up so many control wards here. You can see both sides of the jungle. They've established their control. They're trying to deny TSM any sort of comeback in this game through a lot of darkness here.
Okay, sitting in a brush. If they can find that pick, they're almost assuredly killing whomever they want. There's no cleanse and no QSS on Cloud9. Oh, a stun's going to last most of the duration outside the Merc Preds on a few of these members. Once again, waves cleared away. Mid being cleared out by Sven. He's got Sven behind him. The flash, the ult's on. Here comes Galio as well. Do they buy enough time, though? As the chunks come through, Zilean ult will revive one, but they can't save Sven Skaren. It's a 5v4. They've killed off Bjergsen. The fight can continue 4-on-4. Zazel's low, flashing away. Culling decent damage out from Sven. Looking to play again. The health bars are lower on TSM's side, and Elder plus Baron are both alive. Cloud9 should have control of the map.
Yep, Cloud9 are going to be able to rotate over to the Elder Dragon. This one is much easier to take. Sneaky could solo it by himself. Licorice is trying to guard for him to make sure that there's no steal that comes in. Acadian walking around on Olaf does have flash, but it would be a one-way mission if he went for it.
Okay, and that's the Zilean steal, so now anyone can play as aggressive as they want. Unless Licorice gets caught, but he can jump the wall. He can jump the wall. He's fine. Will they go for the steal? Acadian's so low, though, and 3,000 health on the Drake. The fight might continue, but Bjergsen is dead. It's 4-on-4, missing a mid laner for a jungler. Stun on Broken Blade. He's unstoppable, running away. Look how low Acadian is, but the Dragon resets. They bought a lot of time, and the drift goes all the way back into their side of the base. So now it's a reset, but this time it will be uncontested. This time it will be Cloud9 picking up a very weak but meaningful Elder Dragon.
Exactly. Most of the power here is denying it from a possible TSM pickup, and it still does have value when you're trying to transition over to Baron to take down Baron too. And poke the enemy team off of it. TSM, though, now they're looking for the Baron defense. Giving up Elder Dragon here is one thing to a single Elemental Drake Cloud9 team, but giving up Baron would be game-ending.
Bottom hip is back. Ult comes in, but doesn't tag anyone, but a bit of a slow towards Acadian. Slowed again, but still okay. Another teleport coming through, so C9 ready to fight for this one right now. Not finding a ton of poke just yet. Again, a fairly meek Elder Dragon. Doesn't mean all that much for this fight. Ocean Drake can't even turn on any combat. Awaiting as Bjergsen walks to the front, puts a control ward down, cleared away.
They're pushing the wave here mid to try and get a little bit of priority. They're going to try and run straight through. 2 minions.
Ooh, that's actually meaningful, though. That's enough that if you don't stop them, TSM can go for some really big turret damage.
Oh, they're just stalling out.
They're going to drop to the turret, so it's okay. C9 got done what they needed to get done. And TSM don't have anywhere else to go but to defend this Baron play. Zazel playing very far forward.
Licorice is holding on to Zilean Ultimate right now. He's preemptively stole it for this team fight.
Zazel's in the front, Smithy on the back line. Here comes the dive one more time. Who's going to get the res? As in forward they go. Looking for that first kill, but can't find it just yet. Zazel just dueling Broken Blade. Sven still safe in the back line. This resets come in. Sven Skaren is going to be Niski dropping first, actually, 1-0. TSM are ahead. Culling traded back and forth. No knockup just yet on a Sven Skaren. And it's TSM executing better from a 10,000 gold deficit. Another chase in for Sneaky.
They're in enemy territory right now. Sneaky trying to force it.
Oh, Smoothie, he gets the kill. Broken Blade sure to follow. Jumps over the wall. They've got a blast plan as well. Acadian, he's low, but the wolves are on his side. Running away, finding a slow as well. Sven Skaren still on the chase. 4 versus 4, trying to regen up with the Warmogs, jumping over again. He's stolen Scion open. It's Licorice just with a one-on-one, and he's got it with the auto attacks. And now Acadian has to run. Broken Blade as well. They're surely not going to make it. Cloud9 are going to clean it up and gain the delayed ace and map control with 4 alive.
Cloud9 can head up the river through Baron and pick up their reward now. The only thing that stands in their way is Bjergsen on Lissandra, and there's no way he can get in to stop this Baron. Sneaky on this Ezreal has been insane for Cloud9, doing some heavy lifting in these long, drawn-out team fights. The repositioning, landing his skill shots consistently here has paid off for them so big.
3-0 and 10 and a 1,000 gold bounty. This Baron will be uncontested, and C9 will make that their second Baron. And they've got that buff for a very long time, and that will be up, I believe, even over the Elder Dragon spawning as we look at this fight again.
Okay, so I believe that the Zilean ultimate Silas stole times out here, or he uses it early. Oh yeah, there he jumps in. They get the resurrects from TSM. Zilean goes off. Bjergsen's able to self-ult. They pick off Niski. Nothing. They're able to get him back up.
Yep.
And then it's just going to be a zone.
In this half of this fight, though, it's 4 versus 5, and Sneaky feels comfortable they can push it in, and indeed, they just hem them into this corner of the map.
Yeah, I mean,
There's no way out.
late game, the Ezreal does not have to worry about Sion really in these little chases at all, nor does he have to worry about Olaf once the Olaf ultimate is down. There's no real threat here, so Sneaky, Arcane shifts over. He gets the kill onto Zeyzal, his old, Smoothie, his old lane partner, and they're able to chase down TSM for the rest of the kills. Another 10k plus damage fight for Sneaky.
That's really beautiful stuff, but it's not even like it's a Ruin King getting inflated over a stone plate Sion. He's just putting
Landing poke.
Yeah,
Or I mean,
straight up full damage. He's getting it to happen, and even more than just poke, he's killing things off as well. He's been doing great in these fights. So Baron buff on for 2 minutes, sieging in mid and bot lane. You want to try to sync those up, and right now mid lane's kind of alone. It's minor backdoor damage out of Sneaky as the bot lane gets cleared. So back and forth, TSM go. There's a stun instantly. He ults to get away, but turns it right back off.
Yep. Oh, well, Bjergsen, I think, got the Lissandra ult down.
And Sion ulted to get out.
Yep.
And now that's going to be inhibitor down in the mid lane. They can switch back over to bot lane as well. There's no turret there, and TSM missing the Lissandra engage. Don't have the easy way forward. They're missing Sion ult as well, so a lot of tools are missing here. Cloud9 going towards the Nexus turrets here.
Baron buff still on, empowering these cannon minions to do a lot of work. They can't get down to the bottom wave to buff those ones up, though, so they actually get killed off, because you can see Galio right now, they're waiting for Niski to push in topside. Cloud9 are taking this one.
Yeah, waiting, and they know Galio can join, and so TSM aren't really ready to go forward yet either. Top lane tier 2 falls, TP flank. This is the play to decide the game as Bjergsen comes around the backside, has the ult, he's got to find the target, in they go, and they burst down the Silas. Now they're re-engaged towards Sven, but they know they've got the Zilean nearby as well, so it's on towards Acadian. Sneaky has the damage, 4 versus 4, but Sven Scaron drops as well. 4v3 to TSM side, in towards Sven. Can he stay alive? The engage is there, Sneaky finds a double, 1 for Niski as well. Broken Blade running with the tanky stats that he has, but it's not enough defense. C9 have 3 alive. They will knock down the base, and Cloud9 will tie for second, taking down TSM.
What a game! We get a full display of the abilities of Silas here. I'm very, very happy with the first NA Silas. Full AP, constantly stealing the correct ultimates. Zilean ultimates on timing, reviving the correct people, Sion ultimates to get out of crowd control. Licorice just really, really flexible, I think, on this champion. Definitely the right player for it, but probably the star here, the one that did the most heavy lifting, Sneaky.
Oh, by far. I think Sneaky was absolutely massive in this one. Hugs from a lot of these players who know each other quite well. And Cloud9 up to 3-2. A quick stumble last week, but TSM looked like some of the toughest competition in North America, and it was a close game for a very long time. The fights went back and forth. At the end of the day, Cloud9 executed better. Their new lineup, putting Niski in for Jensen, and they're looking pretty good. That player was good in the mid lane. Licorice still looking like the top dog in the top lane. Brings out the Silas, looks great on it.
Yeah, I would say Broken Blade had some really good moves early. The roam mid lane to get TSM, some of the early lead that they got. Bjergsen was able to get a tremendous amount of turret damage with the Lissandra, constantly split pushing, constantly getting off his Demolish procs. Definitely an enjoyable little series here in our first matchup.
All right, we've got more to play today, but to hear more about that game, let's send it over to Avli and Licorice.
Thanks, guys. Licorice or Mr. Steal your ult? Because, ooh, that Silas game, we're going to talk about him a little bit later, but I just want to pick up your thoughts on this game. Cloud9 took down TSM. What'd you think of today?
I think it was okay. I mean, the game was pretty messy. I think that if we played better, we would have been able to close it out just a lot faster and cleaner, but in the end, we got the win, so I'm happy.
So you're the first Silas of NA and also the first win with him. EU saw no success with him. What made him the right pick for today?
They just had so many ults that were just super high impact if I stole them, like Lissandra ult or Zillion ult or Sion ult were all really big in team fights. So it looked like the game for Silas. I think my Silas definitely still needs some work though, so.
It looked good. You were stealing ults left and right and popping them off against TSM. But what advice would you give to anyone in solo queue or someone who's trying to learn and pick up this champion?
Just play really crazy. I think that in scrims when we were trying it, I was playing super crazy and it felt super, super good. And then on stage, it's a lot more about I don't want to die. And anytime I'm scared, I just play back. But I think you just play crazy and go for it, and the champion's really good.
I'm excited to hear your advice, but now scared for my solo queue games. Licorice, thank you and congratulations. Analysts, that's what Licorice had to say. What do you think about Silas?
Thank you very much, Valeen. Guess what? We're going to talk about it. Our first Silas
I don't
here.
like Licorice's advice for solo queue
don't
players.
be running it down in my game.
Don't listen to Licorice,
Play
please.
safe.
Yeah.
Azael, welcome to the desk.
Thank you.
To help
Thank
us
you.
break down these next couple games here on the day. We did. We got to see our first Silas game, and it's a win of all things, which is great to see. Before we get into the Silas within the game, let's take a look at how Licorice approached using the pick Klepto runes into a Sion lane matchup.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. The way I look at this is similar to how a lot of players looked at GP last year. I think Grasp you can use in tough matchups, or if you think you can really abuse the person and get a huge advantage. I think Sion is someone who is very tough to abuse. So instead, you farm off of him, you use Klepto to maximize gold income, and you get to those items quicker where you can take over in a team fight.
Especially since he's going the full AP build. If you're going for the tankier build, you can argue the Grasp health that you're getting over the game is still super valuable in lane, but since he's going for AP, this just gets you to your AP items faster.
Yeah, get out of here with that tanky stuff for Silas. I love to see the full AP build, and as you mentioned, the Klepto, just indexing towards hitting those item spikes faster, because I think one thing we realized, or you could see as an example in this game, was how much more powerful Silas is later in the game.
Yeah.
He almost has to crest that third item before he really becomes impactful within these games. All right, Silas in isolation with his lane matchup against Sion and the aggressive choices that Licorice made, that's all well and good. But now I want to talk about the Silas pick in context of the game, because it was saved until that final pick for C9. But Mark, how did you feel about how it fit with the rest of their composition?
In that regard, last pick into Sion, great. But when you look at the larger team comp, by the time he was picking it, it kind of felt like C9 got outdrafted a little bit. You have such a hard team comp to pull off a Galio-Camille combo where Lissandra can self-ult, Unstoppable Olaf, Zillion can ult the one target you have in Lucian. So Silas doesn't advance that game plan specifically. And we were almost saying that maybe they should have just gone for a hard split pusher to avoid team fights. But I mean, the game didn't actually end up like that.
Yeah, I mean, they made it work completely. But as you say, on paper, you're looking at the Silas in isolation. You feel like, okay, good lane matchup, lots of good ults to steal. But it did feel like the barrier of execution was very high for C9, where
Right.
I could easily have seen a game where TSM just runs this incredibly standard comp. They have all their meatballs in the front. The one person who gets Galio Camille ulted gets Zillion ulted, and they win every fight.
Right, it's the classic, I know exactly how TSM's comp wants to play in a team fight. Sion sitting on the front line, absorbing thousands and thousands of damage, while C9 struggles to get past him and actually execute anyway.
Yeah, but despite that fact, C9, I think, having a harder comp, played the game much better. You had Galio go up to the top lane, bait Lissandra up there, and then you take a 4v3 in the mid lane and instantly win a fight. And C9 did a really good job of finding the right fights. Here's an example of one that's not quite the right fight.
Yeah, and I think that, as you say, it's easier to execute for TSM, but they weren't always executing. I think you have to give a lot of credit also to Sneaky. One of the issues that we were concerned about is, okay, well, who's going to kill the Olaf? Who's going to kill this massive Sion when there's not a tremendous amount of consistent damage? And Sneaky was really doing an incredible job with that. always getting a ton of damage, and we saw multiple team fights bringing in over 10k damage.
Yeah, this to me was the tail end of one of the most impactful fights from the Sylas, where we saw him take a Zillion ultimate earlier in the fight to keep that Galio alive, later use the Lissandra ult to capitalize on an actual kill in a very extended team fight, which is where he thrives.
And this is exactly what you hear him talking about. There's so many high-impact ults. Here he's able to steal the Zillion one for himself and keep him alive, so even though they're focusing him down, he's about to pop right back up, and he has so much AP, so he gets the full HP revive compared to the Zillion, who really didn't have any.
Exactly, right? You know, Zillion was going Redemption, you know, Lucidity had a Kindle Gem, you know, not a tremendous amount of AP, so despite the fact that they were, you know, bringing up Sven consistently in these fights, he's coming up with maybe 30% health or whatever. So Sylas is essentially taking your ult and doing it better than you.
Yeah.
And I think that was really, really cool to see. But I also do agree, as Licorice said, you know, there's more that he can do with his champ. And I think as we see him and other players get more and more and more games, you can see even more rotations of the ults. Because at level 16, full CDR, you can be popping out an ult like every 10 seconds. You can take a Lucian, poke him down, then you swap over to Lissandra, ult someone, then you do a Zillion. Like we can get huge rotations in late game.
And there's a few things in there that speak to me. Number one being exactly what Licorice said, is he doesn't feel the most practiced or competent on the champion yet. He needs more time. And so I imagine that's the case for a lot of pros. They are not, you know, oh, I'm an S+ tier, you know, Sylas at this point in the game. The second aspect of that, again, was the point he made about the aggression that you usually see in scrims as opposed to on stage. And Sylas is one of those champions that looks amazing when he's ahead of the curve. All of a sudden, he can one combo people down. All of a sudden, he can win 2v1s because of, you know, that W and the healing potential, the outplay potential that comes with it. And when all of that gets taken away on stage, you can see that, you know, kind of that barrier of execution that's required in order to be successful with this champion.
He's definitely a hard champion to play, but to be fair, like, TSM wasn't playing great. We didn't see it in some of those team fights, but Bjergsen tried to flank once and just bumped into Sylas and had to, like, drop his ult to save himself. Smoothie missed the Zillion ult or two, so I think while the comp and the champion are hard to play for C9, TSM were kind of underperforming.
Yeah, I mean, for the first time, I felt like Sylas was picked into a situation where at least he was set up to shine, right? We've seen in many other cases him in other regions getting completely abused by a strong top side of the map where they can't contest in a 2v2, or a ranged matchup where he doesn't have the sustained potential to really stack up against it.
Yeah, and I think that the draft suited Cloud9's style, right? Well, what is more difficult to execute when you think of Cloud9 at their best? It's very rarely 5v5, meatball in the front, you know, team fight comps. It's a lot of skirmishy style stuff. When you look at some of their earlier games as Split, it's this poke style. They play their own unique way, and I think they're very successful at that. And a lot of it does really revolve around turning up the tempo and putting their opponents into situations that they're not necessarily comfortable in.
C9 gets the win, and Sylas is off to a great start here in the LCS. Before we go to break, Freak has a special PSA for all fans and professionals looking for LCS vibes.